All right, welcome to the Saturday special. I was trying to play some music there, but apparently you couldn't hear it. Is that the case? I'm just totally trying to do this as we go, and maybe I didn't share the audio. Let me just see if I did something wrong, because if not, you guys have been watching me sitting here like an idiot for the past 5 minutes. Let me see. Can you hold on? Can you hear this now? Wait, let's see. Hold on.
1, 2, 3.
Let me know if you can hear this now. Now, can you hear the music? Can you hear the music, Frank? If you can, take your hat off like this. All right, guys. Yes, I am still learning how to do all this technological bullshit. But hey, I played, as always, Bay City Rollers Saturday Night Special. Saturday night, and then, of course, this song. So, anyways, if you missed that, I'm sorry. Go listen to it on your own. But anyways, welcome to the Saturday Special. It's we were off last week. We had a 91-year-old grandfather. My wife's 91-year-old grandfather passed away. Not COVID related, but he was a great guy. His name was Porky. So thumbs up to Porky. This show is dedicated to Porky. Quite a pirate of a man. But we had to not do the show last week, and so we kind of had to postpone it. But we are here this week with you guys. And I got to tell you, I actually missed doing the show last week. I really enjoyed this. It's a lot of fun. I switched from the vodka, though. I'm doing the White Claws today because the vodka, especially the Kevin Smith show, towards the end of it, because Kevin was almost 2 hours long, I was getting pretty fucking loaded. So I am a role model to the youth of America. But anyways, I thought I would try and stay a little bit more in control today with the White Claws. So crazy week as it's been for all of us as they start to open up the country a little bit, which is great. I'm all for it. I think it's time for us to get back to work and get back to trying to some semblance of normalcy, whatever the new normal is. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's time, and let's try it. If you are at risk of catching the Rona, then I get it. Let's not mess with that. If you're an elderly person, then let's not mess with that either. But for a guy like myself, it's like at this point, I just sneeze in my face. I don't even care. Like, whatever. Let's just go and get back and let's have some fun. And that's what we're doing here with the Saturday Special. We've got Fozzy coming up today. All 5 of us are going to be on the show. And if you remember the Kevin Smith show, when I basically had a computer set up looking into it, now we have this is StreamYard, which is enabling us to have all of us together at the same time. And we're doing it, of course, on YouTube and on Facebook. So we're glad that you're here. Next week, we go back live in Jacksonville for AEW. The last 4 shows we've had have all been tape shows, which would be cool because I was doing the commentary, which was awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I wanted to provide some energy to the show, considering that we're wrestling in front of no people. So I thought if I could go on as kind of the obnoxious, like, look at this guy, what's he doing? This guy, hate this guy, like whatever I was saying, that people would get a little bit more of a vibe from it, which I think worked. Of course, the Bubbly Bunch we did. I'll tell you about the Bubbly Bunch before I bring Fozzy on. So we started the Bubbly Bunch. Mortal Kombat Elite says, add me to the lexicon of the champion. Okay, you're added. Done. Easy. See, just request it and you got it. So I was trying to do some new content from home, knowing that we had these tape shows, and also, of course, the Inner Circle, 2 of our guys, Santana and Ortiz, shout out to them. They live in New York City, so they were stuck there. They couldn't come to the tapings that we had. Hey, cheers. First of all, cheers, guys. That's a Saturday Special. Cheers. I forgot to do that. So, bink. So the guys couldn't get out of New York City because of the quarantine. And I wanted to get them involved in the show. And they actually had the idea, let's try and do something like we were doing, looking into our phones. And so we did 3 of them. The first one was just kind of to try it out. The second one, we did the Flim Flam dance. Did you guys send in your Flim Flam videos? TNT had so many submissions, they couldn't post them all. So thanks to you guys who submitted your Flim Flam videos. And then this week, I'd seen that stuntman video where it's like someone gets punched, punches the camera, and goes to the next guy. So I thought that'd be cool to do that with the inner circle, but then like maybe put some guys that aren't on TV regularly, like Jungle Boy and Dr. Luther and that sort of thing. And then I thought, what if I can just get like a whole list of like cameos of stars of famous people? Like this guy punches this guy and that guy punches this guy and this guy punches that guy. So I just went and just selected a real random group of people to see if I could get them. And every single person that I asked to be in this agreed, which was crazy. So it was, I worked so much on the edit, I can tell you exactly what it was. So Ortiz hits Sammy hits Hager hits Santana hits the Librarian hits Jungle Boy hits Sonny Kiss hits Luther, and then here's where it gets fun. Luther hits Ted Irvin, my dad, who then takes a hockey stick and swings it and hits Lou Ferrigno, who then pulls out a fucking taser. I'm like, what? Lou Ferrigno with a taser, and he tases Corey Taylor, and then Corey Taylor punches Duff McKagan, who then spin kicks Fluffy, who then hits Brad Williams, who then hits Cripple Threat, who then hits Soul Train Jones, a.k.a. Virgil, who then hits James Garrettson, the jet ski guy from Tiger King, who then hits Vicky Guerrero, who then laughs in his face, and then that's the end of it. But it was so cool to have all these people involved. There's a couple of people that didn't do it that I asked. David Spade was one of them. He said he was going to do it, but then he couldn't figure it out because, of course, how do you figure out how to go? But at least he responded. And that was it. Everybody else agreed. And Lou Ferrigno, I've only met him twice. And he, I just texted him out of the blue. That'd be really funny if we could get Lou Ferrigno. And lo and behold, I text him. I kind of explain what I want to do. I don't hear from him. So I'm like, whatever. And then I get another text back a day and a half later. I just sent the video to this number and it didn't come through. So I said, well, email it to me. And I opened this email and there's freaking Lou Ferrigno with a taser. And it was just like, this is the best thing ever. It was the Manitoba Melee is what I called it. So it was a lot of fun. It was very cool to do that. And people really enjoyed it. We had a lot of laughs with it and kind of a good surprise with all these cameos. And where else do you get to see, like I said, Ted Irvin punch Lou Ferrigno, who tases Corey Taylor, who punches, kicks Duff McKagan in the face, sort of thing. So, and there was no agents involved in this, no managers. It's literally just me picking up my phone and texting my friends and all these guys coming through. So thanks to everybody that was involved in the Bubbly Bunch this week. And thanks to all of you who watched it. I'm sure you enjoyed it. And we're just waiting for all the Fozzy guys to come on. I see Frank and Billy are here, which is great. But let's see if we get some questions beforehand. Alan and Ramiro say hi. Well, hello to Alan and Ramiro. That's cool. Thank you. And Chris Jericho, I'm such a huge fan of everything you do. Can you say my name, Reggie? The best Reggie ever besides you, it looks like you're from the UK, is Reggie from Archie Comics. Am I right? Anyone? Like the biggest jerk in Archie Comics history. Okay, so it looks like everybody is here. Shall we bring the members of Fozzy? You guys ready? All right, well, here, since the first time since the Jericho cruise in January, we are seeing each other together, all the members of Fozzy. We're going to click on Frank Fonseray is there, looking good right there. Billy Gray, there he is, Billy Gray, squatching in the background. Drake, and we're waiting for the Duke when he's going to show up. But
Rando.
There, see, this is great though. We haven't seen each other literally in like 2.5 months.
Been a while, man. Been a while.
Too long.
It's funny because you can see everyone's like Billy's hair is longer now, and everyone's kind of growing their hair out there, which is cool. Let me just see if Ward is going to be here soon. Can you text him, Frank, since I'm operating the computer here?
All right.
So what's been going on with you, Billy? You kind of live out in the middle of the woods, sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I have been doing a lot of Skype lessons, lots of Skype guitar lessons, because the music school that I taught at and the music store I taught at, I teach at two different places, both have closed down because of the pandemic. So I got lots of Skype students. They all wanted to stay on via Skype, so I've been doing that, and actually wrote a guitar piece. I want to put out just a guitar-driven solo EP, and Randy played some bass on it and mixed it. We're going to put it out, and it's an instrumental thing, and just writing it. Yeah, just like pretty much rocking and squatching, buddy.
Rocking and squatching. And that's the cool thing is that in this day and age, everyone's being super creative.
Yes.
Because that's with the technology that we have. Thank goodness that this happened in 2020 and not like in 1995, because we'd really be stuck in the world.
Really, totally. Technology is a beautiful thing.
Frank, how about you? What you been doing, man?
Excuse me. Just just trying to keep my family taken care of. I got a wife and a little boy to think about. So just trying to keep income coming in. And I mean, I'm practicing. Luckily I have a basement and I'm set up and I'm keeping sharp. But cool. Other than that, just trying to keep the bills paid.
Because you work in the delivery industry, like food delivery industry. It seems like it's probably the best time for a guy doing your job.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, I have a restaurant delivery job that I do when we're not on the road to keep the bills paid, and so that's kept me busy, which is good, So I'm thankful for that for sure. But I'm so ready to play.
VRS Video says in 2007 I went to a Fozzy gig in Windsor, Canada, and got detained at the border. As I was sitting there, in walks Jericho, and he's put in the room next to mine. Really?
Sounds like mine and your adventure there. With mine.
So Windsor is classically known as the worst gigs that we've ever had. We've had 2 of them there, and both of them sucked. Right, Frank?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, nothing against the fine people of Windsor, but it's just for some reason the 2 gigs that we've had there are just like, I don't see us coming back here.
Yeah, and then also too that Billy lost his passport as well.
Yeah,
oh God,
yeah, that was a save by you, Jericho. That was a great save right there.
We had to sneak him over the border.
We literally had to, it was basically Billy had to go into the trunk of a car or something on those lines. It was almost like that.
Close to that, yes, in the back seat, down low.
What happened
in the boat?
How did you lose your passport?
I had set my bag down with. I had 2 bags, and I had set one down, and I guess someone had moved it from the area, and I thought it had made it. I thought it had made it with the gear. So, of course, lo and behold, it didn't. And then once we went through all that, and I paid to get a new passport, my passport was sent back to me from the fine folks in Windsor.
Now, Randy, what you been up to, man?
same stuff, man. Like Billy said, we've been working on a couple tracks or try to get some stuff out, doing the same thing, just trying to work on music as much as I can while I've got time. You know, if I don't have any other obligations, I want to be stuck in my studio as much as possible. But
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, yeah, that's it, man. Just trying to crank out as many tunes as possible, trying to get some people to work with it or able to do it remotely like me and Billy did, just sending tracks back and forth. Just try to get stuff done, man.
You know, it's funny because we're going to announce next week. I put together a band completely virtually. Like I know two of the guys, and the fourth guy, I've never even met him before, just to do a couple songs and have some fun. But it really is kind of cool when you see all these videos that are going on Instagram, and you see like the four guys playing together and all that sort of stuff. I mean, like we mentioned, it's kind of cool because we really don't have any other choice. And when the people start talking about being, you know, hold on a second, has been on standby, Rich is trying to get in. It's like when we've had people that, you know, that are stuck and they're saying, oh, this is like Groundhog Day. And I do the same thing every day. To me, that's kind of an excuse. Now we have the time to do what we always wanted to do. So if I only had the time to do this instrumental project, or if I only had the time to learn how to play, you know, a song, it's always the same story. But now we actually have that time.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm trying to take as much advantage of as can with, like I said, Billy being able to send everything over as a godsend. But even then, just you kind of not having the normal routine of your normal day to day, you kind of lose track of time, and I don't realize until it's 5 a.m. I'm still sitting down here working on a snare drum or something. Like, what the hell am I doing? Why I haven't even focused on what time it was in last 10 hours.
Right, exactly, and that's always the case when like I mentioned, people like to kind of complain about it, but the problem is this is just the way it is. This is our life, and we can either take advantage of it and try and be creative, or just kind of sit there and just wither up and die. Right?
Exactly.
Yep.
I read on Blabbermouth just a little while ago that the governor of Missouri said concerts can begin there again on this Monday.
Really?
Well, that's good news.
Yeah, the state of Missouri.
There he is.
This is the
There
big
he is.
reveal. That was similar to John Travolta in Grease. We saw the back of your head.
Yeah.
Andy.
We can't. Let's see if we can hear Rich. What's going on here? Let's see. I don't know what's going on. Hold on a second. Rich is
there he is.
Is he there? Can we hear him?
No.
No, we can't hear him. And the problem I'm having is like I said, not being the technical marvel that I am, trying to figure out how to get him on where we can hear him. Is your mic on, Rich? I want money.
Yeah.
I want money.
Time for the sign language.
Let me try and see if I can figure some of this stuff out here. If I get rid of that one and see him there. Shit. Okay, we will figure this out. This is what always happens here on the Saturday Night Special when I don't really know what to do. It's funny because there's a thing here that's covering Rich, and I can't seem to see his whole screen to be able to mute him. So let's do this. Frank, leave the stream for a second.
Hey, okay.
Yeah, leave the studio.
Bye, Frank.
Get the fuck out.
All right,
Just do that. Do me a favor, and then click back on. Just let me get Rich's mic back up. So leave the studio. Let's see what happens. And there's Rich, not muting his mic. How come he doesn't have a mic? It's weird. We can't hear you, Rich. Okay.
Hey.
He's gonna leave. Okay, now the perfect. Just the only members of Fozzy that matter. All right, Frank is coming back. He's back.
And Frank
There's
is
Frank.
back.
My mic working?
Yeah,
Yeah.
your mic is good. Your mic is doing great. I am going to text Rich and Stacy to see if he can figure out what the problem is as we go here. And this is live. Like I said, this is not perfect. And we are always doing our best to give you the best top entertainment we can. And we shall do that. So let me just send this text, and then we can go. Billy, do some tap dancing.
Okay, let me get up and do this jig I just learned.
All right. So yeah, and also too today, my niece graduated from college. Michaela, right there. Yeah, there's Michaela. She's coming in. Come to the side. Oh, geez.
I got a whole sign and everything.
Yeah, there she is.
Yes.
Congratulations, Michaela. Congratulations. There she is. Excellent. Yeah, she's on.
Here's
Perfect.
Richie.
There's Richie. We still can't hear him. So I don't know what's going on there. But all right. Well, we'll Stacy, Rich, I just connected you with Stacy, my producer, and maybe she can help you figure out how to get sound. It might have to do with your headphones. You might have to go into your settings and change the speaker on your computer to the headphone speakers. No. As soon as we can hear you, we'll let you know. But Ross King says, Rich, just stay there and look beautiful. So,
As he does.
Stacy's texting you right now. Check your phone. So here's the thing. The crazy thing is we were supposed to be on tour right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Dude. Right
which
now.
is kind of a drag. And
The intro would be rolling in about T-minus 8 minutes. 9:30 usually. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing was this tour was supposed to be it was going to be one of our best tours. We had a total some sellouts there, and all of the gigs were super packed with like weeks to still go with the ticket sales. So it was super frustrating that we had to postpone all this.
Very
Yes.
frustrating.
Totally, dude.
And unprecedented too, because we've never that I can remember ever had to postpone or cancel a gig of any kind ever.
Yes, true.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The one cool thing is that we were able to what's the word I'm looking for? Rebook the gigs.
Yes.
Basically, all of the cities that were doing great, we were able to pick up all of those gigs in August. So hopefully, we'll be able to play these shows in August.
Yes.
You know, because what were you saying, Billy? What did you just say about the live gigs?
I read on Blabbermouth online that the Missouri governor is allowing concerts to happen again in that state starting this Monday.
Really?
Via Blabbermouth.
So are they doing like a special type of concert, or are they just doing like, is it going to be spaced out or whatever it may be?
Dude, I didn't read the whole article. I just saw the headline and saw a couple of comments, and it looks like they're going to do it. So I guess some bands that play like in like restaurants and stuff like that, they're going to be able to go and get back to work, and so booking a big show or a big tour that's already been canceled is going to be hard. But I guess they're trying to get back into it, and open the doors again. I hope. They are in the Midwest. There's a lot of rock and roll there, and
what's interesting because when I went to the bank the other day, or when you go to like Lowe's, the hardware store, or something like that, you can you stand in line, and there's a thing that says stand here, and then 6 feet stand here.
They got the line,
and I'm like, maybe you could do that in a club where instead of having 1,000 people in the club, you could space them apart to do like 500 people, for example, and see if that would work.
I was wondering if that was the kind of thing that was going to happen, at least for a while, if they would allow larger gatherings but enforce the social distancing. I cannot wait to get back on stage again, and I really hope we get to soon. But the idea of playing in front of like an audience that's all standing so far apart and all wearing masks and gloves is just so bizarre,
mosh pits are going to look a little bit different now.
Yeah.
I said mosh pits are going to look a little bit different now.
We're not really a mosh pit band, which is good. I mean, that's like, if you told me like, okay, you have to stand in this 5-foot area and you can rock. It's like when Rudy Sarzo was in Ozzy's band and Sharon said, you can play in this area only, but don't, go out of it. I think people would do it because at this point in time, I think people just want to be a part of something and enjoy the show,
They'll do it.
Yeah, I think people are ready to get back out and see bands, and I know I'm ready to get back out and play. I miss it, man. I got to say, I wish we were out right now. Yeah. I love being at home with the family, but I wish we were out playing and doing our job right now.
Well, exactly. And listen, there's a difference between being at home with the family and then also being forced to stay at home and not do what we do, which is be on the road. So Mike D says, ask the members their musical influences. So let's start with you, Billy. Who are your musical instances?
Yeah, I love Eddie Van Halen. Love Eddie Van Halen. Randy Rhoads, Dimebag Darrell. Now I have a new one. His name is Tommy Emmanuel, and absolutely.
What band is he in?
He's a solo acoustic artist. And he's absolutely awesome. He's absolutely awesome. Somebody to check out. He goes on the stage by himself with an acoustic and rips it up, dude. He's awesome. True. And there's he's an instrumentalist. So, those are definitely some influences though right there.
How about you, Frank?
Yeah, I mean, when I was young, I was a huge Kiss fan. That was, Kiss was the band. We had the watch along the other night. That was awesome.
Yeah, with the Kiss Animalized tour, which is great. That's coming up on Talk is Jericho.
Yeah, they were the band that just really, changed my life, and just put me on this path where it's like I have to do what they're doing, and then from there I really got into Van Halen. I discovered them, and then I discovered AC/DC, and those were my 3 bands for a long time. And then a kind of new wave of British heavy metal hit with Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and in the early 80s, and then the LA scene with the Motley Crues and the Rat, Twisted Sister wasn't an LA band, but like the whole kind of like just hard rock metal, 80s thing was just, what put me on the path to wanting to play. And, my tastes have expanded since then, but just, powerful hard rock, played with a lot of attitude with, bands that, perform and put on a show. That's all I need. It's like, I don't even really listen to much that's new. When I want to listen to music, I just listen to the stuff I grew up on.
Where does Akira Jimbo fit in, Frank?
Akira Jimbo.
Akira Jimbo.
Well, he doesn't really fit into that. I mean, that's he's one of those drumming freaks that like the regular world doesn't know about. You have to be a drummer or a musician to know about guys like him.
Right, or a nerd.
Yeah.
Brandy, how about you?
I don't. It's hard to describe being a bass player. I wasn't really into any bass players. I was always into like shred metal guys. So it was like Yngwie Malmsteen, Symphony X, Dream Theater, those kind of dudes, man. I just wanted people to rip as fast as they possibly could. That always influenced me as a young guitar player. But then I got into bass and got more into songwriting and stuff. So bands like the Eagles and dudes like that and the Beach Boys and stuff, I started kind of looking into more music like that and figuring out how to write a good song versus how many notes can you play in a second,
Well, yeah, and that's always the secret too. And also the singing of those bands. That's one thing I really appreciate about our band is we have guys, everybody can sing in the band. Everyone does sing. That's something right out of the 70s in a lot of different ways,
Absolutely. And even that, listening to bands, especially like the Eagles and Beach Boys, learning to use vocals as an instrument, almost like a synth or something, trying to fill space with as many vocals as possible. That kind of stuff, after a while, after I kind of learned to calm down from the speed stuff, that stuff became far more important to me.
It's interesting when we were growing up to be able to call yourself a musician, and this will sound kind of snobbish, but whatever. I mean, in order to be able to call yourself a musician, you actually had to be able to either play an instrument or sing, and these days you can win Grammys for being a musician and not know how to do either,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, all music is really just manipulating a source instrument and make sound with it. If it's a computer or if it's a acoustic, it's all the same thing technically, just different schools of thought.
I know you're more open-minded than me.
Did you guys see that thing earlier this week of Post Malone playing the Nirvana songs?
Yeah, the whole stream, right?
It was pretty darn awesome. I mean, I thought it was pretty darn good, man. I gotta say.
I wasn't, you see Post Malone, I think, he's just a rapper or whatever.
Yeah.
The guy was really, really good. He sang great. He played great. He was much better than that cat from Puddle of Mud. Who
oh my God! Good Lord!
What does he play?
What's that?
Post Malone. What does he play?
He played guitar and sang. He's
basically he's not even a rapper, but he's kind of the hot guy right now.
Yeah.
He's a rap guy, but he's the guy that Ozzy sang on his song.
Right. No.
Yeah.
I know who he is. I just didn't know, and I know that he's not simply a rapper, but I just I didn't know if he played anything or if he did what he did play. So I'm not that up on current music. I know who he is.
Well, and that's my thing too, just to see how much he was rocking, because he had Travis Barker from Blink over there, and then he a
couple other cats in the background, but they had a good mix. And man, the song that I saw, it impressed me, dude. I was like, it was pretty awesome, dude.
I really I thought he did a great job too. And like you said, when you see those guys doing that sort of thing, that's where it's like, these guys are actually pretty legit musicians. I appreciate that. I think it's pretty cool.
You can spot the real ones by guys like that too. The guys that are going out of the way to perform right now. There he is.
We're gonna get you on one way or another, man. You having problems?
Yeah,
No, we lost.
Let me try plugging in. It's weird because I can't figure it out, man. Let me try to.
Is it because there's 5 of us on there, you think, Chris, or it shouldn't be?
No, because we had 5 of us on before on the
yeah, that's right.
And now we lost you on FaceTime too.
It's not happening for him tonight. Cards are not in his favor.
Leave it to Rich to just ruin the whole thing.
He's the most technically advanced guy.
I know.
All right, we'll continue going. Hold on, maybe I'll try and call him and FaceTime one more time and see if we can get him here. We're gonna get Rich Ward on here for you guys, one way or another, and we're gonna make this work. But while we're waiting for Rich, first concert you ever saw?
I think.
me, go ahead,
Yeah,
Frank.
like you talking real concert, or you talking just any concert?
Just
First concert. I mean, you could say like both. Let's say both. What's your first?
All right.
What's your first live band you ever saw?
First,
And what's your first real band that you ever saw?
first live band in Dublin, Georgia, the town I grew up in. We used to have little punk shows where we'd cram into an American Legion, and all the riffraff from the town would come out there and start, fucking penny picking and punching the air and stuff, trying to do all that stuff in an American Legion and breaking out windows and stuff. That was the first, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth. I used to play little rock shows all the time there. And then I think the first real show I went to, I think was Incubus, and it was really late. Like it was late into my life that I had ever been to Atlanta and been to a big show, but everything else was just tiny little local shows with a bunch of scrubs.
Scrubs. How about you, Billy?
Mine was Kiss, definitely Kiss, and it was awesome. Got me going. Then the very next one was Van Halen, and I was hooked forever.
What year was Kiss?
Kiss was let's see,
79 for
it
you.
was the what's the Dynasty tour?
79.
Yeah, so that was that tour. Then my mom wouldn't let me go to any more concerts. My dad took me to that one. So I talked my cousin into taking me to see Van Halen, and
Nice.
that was on the Diver Down tour. And dude, I never saw something so awesome in my life. So yeah, those are the first two for me.
Mackenzie Taylor's first concert was Five Finger Death Punch, and Williams was Non-Point Ozfest 2001. We toured
Nice.
with Non-Point, didn't
Yeah,
we?
we did.
Yeah.
We toured Europe with them.
Yeah. Europe and elsewhere.
We toured the world and elsewhere.
What was your first concert, Frank?
Yeah, it was Kiss. It was December 30th, 1977.
8:50 p.m.
8 p.m. at the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. The tickets were $5, maybe $5.50. Yeah, that was my first concert, and I went. I was taken with the only friend I had in school that also liked Kiss, because I didn't. You know how so many people talk about how their whole schools were obsessed with Kiss. I went to a non-Kiss school. I was made fun of for liking Kiss, even by kids,
Mhm.
But I had one other guy that was a Kiss fan. His name is Michael Zalvis. He might be out there. And my mom and dad.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. My mom and dad took us and sat on either side of us, and my mom actually enjoyed it. I mean, it was a unique experience. It was something different for her, and she enjoyed it. My dad didn't appreciate it very much at all.
Yeah, my dad freaked out on it.
Yeah,
A little bit.
Well, my dad was like a 60-year-old Spaniard. Like he was born, he was born in 1914 and in Barcelona, Spain, and came here as a young guy. So the whole makeup and explosions and all that stuff is just, for some reason, he didn't connect with it. I'm not sure why.
Do you remember, Frank, as like one of the very first Fozzy gigs we ever had? We were probably traveling to Spartanburg or something in a van. I don't know why I remember this, but we were waiting in line to go to the bathroom at the gas station, and this old man came in, and he walked in, and he looked at us, and he's like, and walked out. And we were like, you and I were laughing like, these young kids nowadays always pissing.
always urinating in the urinal there. What's going on with that? You young kids.
So let's talk about being on tour. What are some think of stupid, funny stories like that? Is there any that pop into your heads? Like, that you remember that stand out for you?
God, there's so many. It's hard to. I mean, we've been in a couple of bus accidents. Those aren't funny necessarily.
Hold on, let's go right to tell us about the mountain shrimp, Frank. That's a great one.
Okay.
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 So we were. You want me to like go into detail?
Oh, I'll start it off and then I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, you okay?
We're playing at this venue in like Beckett, West Virginia, or some literally. And these guys got so sad when I said it, but it's a dump. It's terrible. But they obviously had some money from somewhere, and they decided to
selling shrimp.
Well, and they had this menu, and they're like, "Well, you guys can have anything you want on the menu." And this happens quite a bit when you play like clubs, where they'll give you dinner from the kitchen. And the guy gave us a menu, and they were super excited. Like, I got this great menu. You guys are gonna love this. And it's typical, like bacon strips or potato wedges and
cheese
sticks and stuff. Like we're fairly healthy band. Like we don't let promoters just give us pizzas. We don't like that. We give us something to eat. So anyways, they gave us this menu and we looked through it, and I can't remember what any of us had. Frank, what did you order?
For me.
Yeah, what did you have?
It was some kind of shrimp dish. It was some kind of shrimp or some kind of like Asian, some kind of Asian shrimp and rice kind of thing, like Szechuan shrimp and rice. And it just didn't even. It looked good, so I ordered it. But it didn't occur to me that I was eating shrimp in the mountains of West Virginia. That they might not be the freshest. and the shrimp somewhat disagreed with me a little bit and inflamed my stomach lining. And so right before the show, I had to relieve myself. You can imagine, and there was club next.
Yourself would connotate peeing. These young kids always pissing. You actually had to go empty your lower abdominal area, shall we say?
Yeah. The old there were things going on that were uncomfortable and noisy, and I had to get rid of it right before the show, and so I had to kind of run off. There was some kind of business next to us, and there was a parking lot behind this building, and there was a dumpster, and it was right on the edge of the woods, and I had to go running behind the dumpster because I couldn't, because the club was so small, the place was packed, and the bathroom was at the other end of the club, like on the other side of the stage. And there was no way to get to the bathroom and then be able to get to the stage. And so I had to go I grabbed a couple paper towels off the bus and I ran down behind this dumpster next door to the club and did what I had to do, and then came running back. And I just got back in the building, like as the intro is rolling and everybody's going, "Where's Frank?" I came running in the back door,
we used to
go like, "I'm here."
We used to have a drink on me as the intro, and we're like, where the fuck is Frank, man? Like, it's like, have a drink on me, and the solo's playing, and like we got to go on stage. And the thing is, if it was no Billy or no Randy, no Rich, no Chris, you can still start the show because the drummer's playing. But with no drummer, what are we going to do? And right at the end, it was like, whoa! It comes through and jumps down and hits the fucking stool. And
I come bursting through the door.
Rich,
I like it for the one Fozzy fan that's taking a smoke break out behind the building and sees Frank taking a shit behind the dumpster.
Yeah.
Rich, you say something, dude.
Hey!
All right.
Dude, I don't know what it was. Like, it was, it was the same setup as we had during our 30-minute sound check, earlier.
Right.
The craziest thing was I said, okay, well, let me just try to find another pair of headphones. Okay, but now Steve Jobs, before he left Earth, decided that you can't plug headphones into an iPhone. So I had to find that little white dongle that goes into it. And then all my studio headphones, they don't have the mini stereo jack. So like, cause I have all those high-end headphones, like, whoa. Yeah. In any case, sorry about that.
You had the high-end headphones. All you needed were these pieces of shit. We would have been able to hear you.
I know. Every time I get a new iPhone, the first thing I do is take those out of the box and throw them in the trash. And how I wish I had a pair.
Rich always has trouble finding his little white dongle.
I'm very familiar with how to find it.
So
My favorite part is coming back on to hear another classic Frank Poops in the Woods story.
That's the only one.
Pretty soon, like we're gonna get to that point, like on the 50th Fozzy reunion. Remember that time Fozzy pooped in the woods in West Virginia?
It's a standard. It's a standard. So we're just talking. Jump right in, Rich. We're just talking about some of our favorite memories and moments of being on tour. Stupid, funny moments. Any of them pop into mind for you?
I mean, our entire career has been based on. We just didn't go through the rites of passage that most bands did. I mean, most bands, when they're 18, they get in a van, a 1977 Dodge van, and they roll all over the world until they get discovered. But all of us were basically discovered in our own little worlds, and
right.
then came together. And we were part-time for the first, I don't know, how many years was that? Like 6 years? Pretty part-time?
Yeah, fairly much so, yeah.
And maybe even 2009, so maybe close to 10 years of being. I mean, we were touring, but not really. So we were really dating for a long time. You know, like still trying to get to know each other. Frank and I and Billy knew each other fairly well. Frank and I obviously have been friends since 1988. So before they actually had speakers and amplifiers and stuff. So
they would set up a.
I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No.
I was just going to say, when we played, you know, we just set up a tin can on the stage with a string that went out to another can that was in the audience.
And people took turns listening. Yeah. I think this band has been great because I think most of the problems that most bands go through and why they break up early on is because they don't know how to interact in a group environment. You know, just that inability to deal with how come I can't get my own hotel room? How come I have my own dressing room? Like bands, they literally go from high school into an environment where they have no privacy. You know, they're combining creatively and also on a business level. And there's so many stressors. We already kind of went through that. So I think we were lucky in that our relationships based on good friendship and mutual love and respect for music.
But there is always little things that happen. And Matt Lefebvre from Facebook says, how about the time the promoter and Arn Pryor lied to you about your setup and you almost moved the show? Arn Pryor was Ottawa. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we'll never forget that night.
Well, there's always the times where you walk in the building and say, "Where's the stage?" And they're like, well, "We're going to move that jukebox."
That was literally the truth for us.
Yeah,
it happens all the time, and even to bigger bands. I mean, sometimes because the agent is working with promoters, promoters and agents have relationships, and we have to trust that our agent has vetted the venue, and a lot of times you go in and it's not as advertised, right? And then you decide what's the most important thing, putting on the best show you can, and we have to then decide, can we make this work? And I don't think we've ever canceled a gig, have we?
I can't until this run that we just postponed. I can't think of one time that we ever.
The only gig that we had to cancel is when you guys had the bus accident. We had to cancel the Anthrax gig in Denmark.
That's right.
And I seem to remember one other gig because I remember I don't know why I remember this, the Lemon Room in Exeter, because it sounded like Exciter. I remember the Exeter, and we had to cancel some gig at the Lemon Room.
The Lemon Room.
Yeah, but it's funny because like Arn Pryor, like you said, like we've played stadiums and we've played arenas and we've also played, you know, like you said, where's the stage? You're looking at it. What? But our tour manager, Sam, always advances the shows. That's what you do. And so he will call and say, what's the area of the stage? What's the, you know, I'm riffing here. You guys know more than I do. Yeah. The PA and all that sort of stuff. And when we showed up at this place, it was literally one of the smallest pubs, like almost like somebody's basement. So when you get to this room, Rich, and you're pretty much the musical director and very technical as well, although not tonight, trying to figure out how to plug in a pair of fucking headphones. What do you do when you see this? Like, what's your first reaction?
Well, I used to be more defiant especially if a promoter lied, and so everything on paper looked right, and then we got there and they were just kind of padding the numbers, so to speak, in order to get us in there and figure, hey, well, once we get the band will play. And it used to be in the old days. I was a little more stubborn about it, but now I realize that the business isn't just about a band and a venue having a kind of clash. There's fans who have traveled sometimes for hours to come to the shows.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of things involved in it, and you don't want one fan feeling, because you see this online, because think about it. When we were all kind of coming up in the business, minus Randy, in the early days, there was no internet. So you didn't realize what the ripple effect was of canceling a show because of technical issues. You don't realize, because you don't get the immediate response of the guy on Twitter or Facebook who said, wow, that sucks, man. I drove 6 hours from North Dakota to see you guys play, and you pulled the show because you didn't like the size of the stage. So now I think it comes down more to how can we make the show happen? Is that renting additional gear from a local sound place? Or is that when Paulie was in the band, putting him on a table next to the stage?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me explain this. We played a show in Calgary. I don't remember the name of the venue, but I remember the promoter's name was Steve Raspberry. Chad and I
should have known right there.
You're making that up.
My cousin Chad always like, what's Steve Raspberry doing nowadays? But we got into this room, and once again, we're playing big rooms, small rooms, nice theaters, and little fucking basements. And we went into this place in Calgary, and it was literally the same thing as Armprior. It was so small. We're like, how are we even going to set up in here?
It was even smaller, actually, because
even smaller.
Yeah, the stage was literally big enough for the drum kit, and that was basically it. And everybody else had to find a place around the stage.
It was like we said earlier, we have our little 4-foot place to rock, and there was drums, Rich, Billy, Chris, and then Paulie, our old bass player, had to go up on this platform that was right near it. But like, if you were going to watch the show, you'd be watching the show like this, and that's where Paulie was, like on this little balcony area, well, not even a balcony, a raised area. So it was like one of those things like from the 60s, like it's Super Bop with Dave Johnson. Hey, welcome to Super Bop, and we got some rocking bands tonight. And Paulie had to sit on the side like a go-go dancer and play.
It's like, here's your platform, here's your platform, here's your platform, here's your platform.
And what made it worse was there was actually a railing. So he was on the other side of the railing. So like, even if he wanted to walk down the platform, it wasn't going to happen to join us because he was literally barricaded on another side. Oh,
so check this out. So my cousin Chad's and my mom and my Auntie Bev just she's watching right now. So shout out to Auntie Bev, the mother of Chad and Todd, very good friends with Fozzy.
Hey, Auntie Bev.
And she said, Spewy said that was Morgan's Pub is the name of it. Morgan's Pub.
There you go. Old Spewy.
I've now told our booking agent, don't ever book us at any venue that has pub at the end of it.
It's our brown M&Ms.
That's right. Auntie Bev said, how long have you guys been together? Are you almost at your 25th anniversary? And the answer to that is, we started our first gig was where we saw the angry old man who was mad at us for pissing Frank, was 1999, I think August of 99.
It was.
So technically we are getting 21 years coming up. So it's getting close, but we did, like Rich said, we didn't really start full time until about 2010. And that's when the band started kind of going full time.
Yeah. Well, the first show was the Marietta Strand Theater.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff Hanna says, Rich, I met you outside the Croc Rock in Allentown, Pennsylvania, when you were playing for Adrenaline Mob. We were able to have a 20-minute conversation about Neil Sean. You're the fucking coolest rocker. That's Jeff Hanna there.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, and the funny thing is that Chris and I have tons and tons of Neil Sean conversations to this day.
Yeah.
Still one
And
of
Neil
my
Sean,
all-time faves.
it's funny because I doing Talk is Jericho for almost 700 episodes. I just realized you can actually put a see. Wow, I'm learning as we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you. I have this publicist that say, "Can you put this guy and put this guy?" And so I was able to get Neil Sean on Talk is Jericho, and I went to when Journey played in Tampa to his dressing room and hung out with him. This guy is like my best friend now. I send Rich screenshots all the time. Neil Sean will text me on Instagram random shots of him like with a guitar or like here. And I'm like, why is this guy fucking texting me all the time? So then they asked me to do a birthday video for him. And so the first thing is that this guy's been in a rock band since the 70s. He's cool. So my first video was me kind of like bagging on him like, wow, you're 67? Holy shit, you look like you're fucking 87, man. Like, ew.
Ouch.
Life's been rough on you, 70s rockers. So I send it in. I get an email back. The wife really appreciates that you sent it in, but she doesn't think it's appropriate for the video. So I was like, okay, hold on. But I sent it to Rich to get his opinion, and you thought it was funny.
Well, it was funny because the way you said it was like, hey, man, I just wanted to say that, man, you've done it all, man. You've, one of the most successful bands of all time, one of the most revered guitar players. And for 57 years old, you look amazing. And then you pause, you're like, oh, you're 67. So it's like, oh, yeah. So
They didn't catch the joke there, so I resent.
Yeah.
But the best thing was when the video actually came out, I was right in between like Paul Stanley and Steve Miller or something like that. I was like, that's not bad company to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. You got to get better at making friends, Chris.
Yeah, let's talk about one of my favorite Fozzy stories is the saga of what do you call him, Billy? Hardcore Hans was his name?
Oh, Long Haul Hans.
Now, who was Long Haul Hans, Billy?
He was our illustrious German bus driver on a lovely tour of Europe with our great friends in Soil. And the bus driver was one of the most horrific smelling human beings in the face of the earth. God bless him. Hopefully he is clean now.
No offense.
No offense. God bless him. Hopefully he's clean now. So anyway, he actually went into a band shower, into the shower, and made it smell so bad that you couldn't go into the shower to take a shower because it smelled so bad in the shower.
He literally stunk up the shower.
What Billy's saying when he says he smells bad, we're talking serious BO, really bad body odor.
He was a big guy, so he had the combination of like being probably not the most hygienic guy, plus being a little overweight, and sometimes when you're sitting up in a seat for 10 hours a day in the front of a bus just drinking diet soda and eating corn cigarettes.
And there's a lot of places for sweat to hide on a guy like that.
Yeah,
under the roll maybe. But the thing was, we've all been through the paying of the dues and this, that, and the other thing. But we have, we make some money and we have certain standards, and we always have a nice bus. That's kind of one of our things. Problem is, the bus we were supposed to have literally, as Rich would say, started on fire like 4 days before we were supposed to get it. Like, I think it was Fear Factory. We're supposed to drop it off. They clean it up and they bring it to Fozzy. Something happened to the engine and it blew up the fucking bus. It was done. So we're coming to Europe and we need a bus. So they basically said, okay, well, that bus is going to Shinedown. That bus is going to Anthrax. You guys can have this jalopy that the high school baseball team from Dorfschneitz. So we get on this thing, and my goodness, it was like a morgue on wheels. It was one of the worst vehicles I've ever been in. As soon as you get in there, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's depressing. And there's like I'm a guy who, if there's something on the floor, I pick it up. And this bus was clean for us, and there was still change all over the floor, and you'd sit down on one of the benches and put your hand behind the bench, and there'd be like a freaking dirty sock or something. It was terrible. I mean, you guys remember how bad that bus was?
Yeah, and the thing about it is, at least from my estimation, is that if you're saying, okay, on this one, guys, we're going to go ahead and save some cash and, or what, for whatever reason, but we want what we paid for. We were paying for a nice, expensive tour bus. And that was what the insult to injury is like. You can always say, if it's like, oh man, we're going to get this whatever 3-star hotel instead of 5, but you're paying for 3-star. Yeah. When you're paying for 5 and they give you 2, that's when you're pissed off. And then Hans was such a terrible driver.
He was terrible.
God, he was one of those guys that you'd be asleep at 3:34 in the morning, and you just feel that thing where he would start to swerve and he would overcorrect. And in Europe, we're in those double-decker buses, and an overcorrection means this. The whole bus sways and you're just bracing. You're pushing on the ceiling and the bunk above you. And God, everybody's like, ah!
I think he was a substitute driver who was used to driving. Yeah, he was used to driving trucks. So he wasn't used to driving a vehicle that had people sleeping in bunks behind him. So he was real heavy on the brakes.
Well, and he was just real heavy, period. And here's another thing about it, too. That bus was fucking freezing. It was like in the wintertime.
Oh, I was going to say that. It was cold, dude.
And my bunk, whatever, like there was a little crack in the window. So the not the breeze, the wind driving down a highway at 70 miles an hour was blowing on me. I remember being under the covers in full outfit, gloves, and everything. And still being so cold. And then something would happen, and then it'd be super fucking hot. And then we would smell all this smoke coming
I remember that.
From his bus driver's quarters would somehow go through the vent and come out onto us. It was terrible. We kept saying, please stop smoking. He'd be like, oh, no, I smoke. I
don't smoke.
I can't speak in English or whatever.
This whole thing sounds like a weird fever dream.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
And so finally, we were in Frankfurt. It was one of the last days of the tour. And I remember in my bunk, and we said, don't smoke on the bus. They were like, I don't smoke on the bus. Apparently he's Italian. I don't remember how Italians talk about it.
Smoking on the bus.
No smoking on the bus.
On the bus.
And we said, don't do it. Like, leave. We don't like it. So anyways, I'm in the bunk. I'm kind of, it's dark at 5 p.m. there. It's winter time. And I'm in the bunk and I smell the fucking cigarette. And I'm done. Like 3 weeks in Europe, we're ready to crack as it is, but with this long haul Hans, as Billy called him. So I freak out. I go and I see that he's now in our dressing room. And I'm like, okay. I walk in and dude, I don't try to be a tough guy, but I walked up to this guy and I said, hey, you fucking asshole, you fat fuck. It was like Al Pacino in Glengarry, you stupid fucking cunt. You fat fucking cunt, you stupid fucking asshole. I said, don't ever smoke again. And he's like, oh, it's not a problem. And he had like a fork with like cheese on it. And I was like, now he's eating art. And I hit the fork out of his hand.
Nothing but cheese. No,
it is a fucking problem. Don't ever, like I have his thing. Don't ever smoke on the bus again. Do you understand me? Oh, yes, I understand. Do you understand me? Yes, I understand. Now get the fuck out of my dressing room. And he leaves. And Tim from Soil was sitting like this. He goes, holy shit. I don't even smoke, but I'm not going to smoke on your bus, I promise. But that's how bad it gets when you get that stir crazy, right?
It is, and that's the one thing I think, because if you're someone who's just kind of tuning in and going, oh, listen to these guys complaining about their somebody smoking on the bus or that it's being cold. It's not that. When you are when you're on a life raft in the middle of the ocean with 5 other people, day 4 is still fine. You know what I mean? And then when somebody else's boat links up with yours and they get on, and now there's 9 people on your boat, and then you just start staring at each other like you motherfucker. And they didn't do anything. You just are uncomfortable because your bunk, literally, Billy and I our bunks are always stacked on top of each other because we always just locker room fun. Hey, what's going on? And it's fun. But that's the best part and the worst part about touring is the camaraderie is amazing. But when you need 15 minutes to just clear out your head forget about it's not going to have the show, and you guys are jamming Kiss. I'm not mad at Kiss. I'm not even mad at you. But at that one moment where you just like, I just want to like just sit here and say, okay, little piece. And Chris is like, in your face, Lord.
You drama queen.
That's not the case, because we're all a little bit scared of Rich Ward. Like Rich is kind of like the authority figure in our band. Like if Rich is angry, I'm always like, turn the music down.
Yes, the RA.
Turn it down. Turn the music down. Shh, quiet. Rich is sleeping. But the thing is too, it's funny because when we talk about this, like Frank, for example, the longer we get on the road, like for whatever reason, like Frank's one of my best friends in the entire world, but I'll be like, I really hate those shorts you're wearing. Yeah. I hate them. And there was actually one point we had those camouflage shorts with holes in them. I'm not saying I did this, but I think I might have even thrown them in the trash one time. Just like,
yeah, sell by date on those shorts. I remember having multiple conversations about those shorts. So many calories.
Frank's famous shorts.
I hate those shorts because they had holes in them. Like, but it wasn't like those cargo shorts where the holes were intentional. These were kind of like swim trunks that like were the nylon ones that were kind of falling apart from, but they were comfortable for Frank. And you know, like it's like
Comfy clothes.
you have your comfy stuff, and then the other guys are like, "You're in a damn rock band." Pagan wear camo swim trunks.
They weren't swim trunks, but
they had that look to them. Yeah,
Frank will do something at least once or twice a day that me and Billy just look at each other and start laughing. We don't even have to say anything. We just look and like, fucking hell.
You're not alone.
We love you, Frankie.
You're not alone. I have that effect on a lot of people.
Yeah, hey, I love you.
Let me tell you this. The reason that we've survived so long is because that we have gotten past that stage of these things actually bothering us. Like it then becomes moments for comedy. And that's the thing when, like, again, when people always like, why did that band break up? Why did this band break up? It's usually nothing. It's always these small, little, tiny things. But we've gotten to that point where we've grown into this family where even big things are something that can be worked through. I mean, and I think one of the healthiest things that that Chris and I ever kind of came to a great epiphany is that Chris and I used to basically make these albums on our own. And what I mean by on our own, meaning the infancy. Like we would come up with the blueprints, we would sketch everything out, we would frame the house, and then we would bring it to Frank and Billy, and we would say, all right, let's make this house. And then everybody got a hammer and some paint. We all made the house. But in the very beginning, when there's only a kind of a two-guy crew in the very beginning stage, it's not like Rush where there's the third guy who can step in and like say, I'm going to side with Geddy on this one. And then, okay, then you've decided. Then Chris and I are rock, paper, scissoring everything, you know, and then there's hard feelings because he'll give me a set of lyrics that he's really in love with. And I'm just like, I cannot identify with this. I can't vibe with it. And I don't know what to do with it. And then you're like, dude, come on. And then we get to that point where then like the professional becomes the personal. And the best thing we ever did was bring Johnny Andrews into this thing where Coach Andrews is on the sidelines.
We also decided too that like a good team, you let the guys do what they do best, you know, because at first I think both of us being kind of the alpha male types is like, we just assume, well, we have to have control of everything. And now it's like, we don't even, what are we talking about back in those days? But here's the one set of lyrics that I was like, come on. And they're so ridiculous, but they were really well done. It's the best Iron Maiden lyrics that Iron Maiden ever wrote. The song was called Death Perception, not Depth Perception, but Death Perception. And I went through every religion and wrote these lyrics on what people think happens to them when they die. Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, pagans, Satanists. And these lyrics, like, the song would have been like 47 minutes long. Like it was so ridiculous, but I was like, come on, dude, you got to use Death Perception. And you're like, I just don't feel it. And I finally let it go. And then a couple of years ago, Biff from Saxon said, do you have any lyrics that you're not using? So I sent him Death Perception. He's like, oh, these are way too deep, mate. Can't use them. Just like, not even Crusader Saxon wanted to use my fucking Death Perception lyrics.
And so you're like, okay, if Jeff doesn't want them, then that's the.
Well, when I do my solo record, I'm going to prove all you guys wrong. Just wait and see. Derek Crossland is asking from Facebook. The question is for the whole band. Which show was your favorite to play? So what was your favorite gig in Fozzy history if one has to stand up for you guys?
Man.
If I have to say one, obviously mine is going to be the Iron Maiden gig in LA.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Come on, how could you not let that be your one? I mean, you guys have done a lot more than me, so maybe you don't have that same one. But for me, that was obviously the end all be all for shows.
Yeah.
You know, how do you get bigger than that?
Yeah. What a great opportunity for us, and what a great show, and the fact that like playing that gig, I wasn't nervous from like how I was gonna do. I was like terrified, like this fucking Iron Maiden. This is Iron Maiden. And when we were on stage, sometimes it happens in wrestling too. When you play a stadium show, the sound doesn't come down onto you because it's an open air. The sound goes up. So I was like, is anyone making any noise? But at the end of the show, I thought we did really good. But then watching the videos back, it was loud. It was loud. Like people were really cheering for us at Iron Maiden. So I agree. That was one of the highlights for sure. What were you going to say, Rich?
I was going to say that that on paper was the most important show maybe of my entire career. And then the problem with those types of shows are always that we're not headlining, we're on someone else's stage, we're having to do our sound check, or what kind of was a sound check, while the doors were already open because Iron Maiden was having technical problems. So we're basically showing the cracks of our ass, setting up our gear to the audience coming in. Frank and I were having some technical problems, and I was and all the stage crew were looking at us like, hurry, hurry, hurry. But you can't hurry when know that one of the most important gigs of your career is going to be dependent on making sure you've got power and all the cables are plugged in right. And it just was the most stressful time. All of our wives were there. Like we had friends, and like there was
family,
so much,
cousins.
so much external stuff going on. And I just remember thinking, I hope this comes off. And it did. It was a great show. But I remember that being one of the hardest shows I've ever played because of the hour before the show. We couldn't be on stage. So we had 15 minutes to make sure everything was set up. And then we all crossed our fingers. And I remember Frank and I just look at each other, and we were basically strategizing on the side of the stage. Okay,
like what happens if?
We are talking through these things. But again, those are the things that guys who have been touring for 30 years know how to do. And you focus on that so that when you do get on stage, you know it's going to be a great show. My preference is playing like that last Masquerade show we played.
That was awesome.
Where we had this amazing long sound check. We everything was right. You know, the local crew was great. The sound was amazing. And we went up and were able to put on one of the best shows of our career because the environment's right. You know, it's like being a professional skier and saying the conditions were perfect. Everything was right. And I could have one of the best performances of my day, you know, one of the best runs. Whereas we're playing on Iron Maiden stage and we're under the gun and the pressure of not only wanting to perform well, but to behave. Because we know as headliners that you almost value the behavior of your opening bands more than you do if they're good. Because if the opening band is taking liberties, and if they are being rude and they're taking too long and they're causing issues, you'll remember that much longer than you will, man, that band really kicked ass. So we were then very mindful of don't let Iron Maiden's road managers see us being a problem.
First of all, Chris, can you please say happy birthday to my daughter, Trivium? She's a huge fan. We'll really make her birthday great. I think we should take a quick segue to sing happy birthday to Trivium. What a great name that is. So all right. I think we should do it. How can I get rid of it? Okay, we're going to do it. Okay, here we go. Rich Ward rule, don't start too high. It's Trivium. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Trivium.
Great name.
Happy birthday to you.
Sounds like
And many more.
barbershop frog out there.
It's Baba
Do you-
Shop Rock, is it?
Do you want to tell them the birthday singing rule and why it became an issue?
You tell them.
So I wanted to take vocal lessons because I wanted to be obviously a better asset as a background singer. And if there became some parts that I was going to sing some lead stuff on. So I took from one of the most famous vocal coaches in the world, Jan Smith, who was Usher, Rob Thomas. She was Justin Bieber's coach for a number of years. She's in Justin's documentary. And I remember on day one, there was basically an audition and she wanted to see what my abilities were. So she said, hey, do me a favor, just sing happy birthday for me. So I was like, okay, cool. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Like, there was no more room. I started too high. And she goes, first rule of happy birthday, don't start too high. It's like banner. That's why everybody has the little pipe on Star Spangled Banner. Don't start too high or you're in big trouble.
That's great.
Happy birthday.
Here's a good question from Darren Bradley, Facebook. He goes, loving this. Thank you. Any memories of playing Bloodstock in 2018? Felt like you guys were determined to make a statement at that show. Amazing performance. It was the last show of that tour, I think. Go ahead, Billy.
It was the last show of that tour.
It was, and I was thinking of that as one of my favorites because we went out there and we had a lot of fun on that one. That crowd was great, and we were well primed from the tour. And man, I was thinking about that as being one of the standout ones for us right there.
Isn't it amazing that most of the highlight shows for us are the UK festival gigs? If you said name your top 10 favorite Fozzy shows, I'd at least have 5 of them being Bloodstock and download gigs.
Right.
I mean, they were always just so good. And for whatever reason, you know, we've had lots of big festival gigs in our careers, but the UK audiences are just so good. And for whatever reason, we just have such a great chemistry with them. And that's, you know, I mean, the audience and the band, they're dance partners. And when you have great chemistry and you're on that floor working it together, man, like to me, that's why I think they're some of the best gigs of our career.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go
I was going to say one that's I absolutely agree with Rich. One that stands out for me though was the '98 Rock Fest that we did in Tampa a couple years ago.
Yeah, dude.
That was a great show because I mean, playing an arena,
loved it.
You know, inside it was packed. It was like, you know, I think it was sold out. And just, you know, great energy. And I know just myself in particular, you know, it's funny, you walk off stage after shows and you'll be like, you know, oh, I didn't have the best show. And somebody else be like, man, this show was awesome for me, you know, or vice versa. And I just walked off stage that night, just having it felt like, you know, we could do no wrong, you know, just everything really came together and it just felt like a fantastic show. That one always kind of sticks out in my memory.
That was a great one. Yeah, I agree.
A couple that stick out for me is this is really funny because obviously you got the Maidens and those ones are unbelievable. But the night before Iron Maiden, we played a show in Sacramento.
Yeah, that was a great show.
It was
and
we'd never played Sacramento. I think it was called Ace of Spades, the club.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like this is the perfect warm-up show for us because like Rich said earlier, we're going from playing you know, we're going to into someone else's territory, and we left our territory to go straight into theirs. And I felt that show was so great. The momentum of that amazing headlining show followed us to the Maiden stage. Had we done that show and it was only okay, I'm not saying that we wouldn't have done great, but it just seemed like it was really like this big push that led us to that. Another one that stands out for me as well is it's funny because Jesse Morris's Jericho Cruise crowds are pretty good for Fozzy concerts. Both Jericho Cruises, the first time when we sailed away was one of the greatest moments of my musical career for so many reasons. One, because it was our cruise, and two, it was Fozzy kind of kicking off this cruise, and we couldn't get on a fucking cruise, by the way. We couldn't get on a cruise. So it's the typical Paul Stanley story. We didn't get invited to the party, so we started our own.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I would also, the one I would add to that also is the last time we played Gramercy Theater in New York.
Yeah, that was a good one. Sold out. That was awesome.
Yeah. We could tell them a story about that, Chris.
What's that?
About how we almost didn't even get the show. And we told them we would do it.
That's a great example of kind of what we've done, is that we basically got this gig for to play the Gramercy Theater in New York City, which is a big theater. And we had done well in New York, but for some reason they wouldn't book us in New York. We couldn't get a gig here. We couldn't get a gig there. And so the only place, you know where we played, Frank?
Where we played at Gramercy.
The place that'll let us play.
You got me.
They were like, okay, you can come play here at the Gramercy, but we're not going to give you a guarantee, which in rock and roll is you will pay you $5,000 to play or $10,000. These guys were not going to give us anything, but they're going to give us 80% of the door. And we're like, okay, fine. We know we can do good in New York. And we sold that mofo out to the point where it's Fozzy sold out, which was great. And as a result, we made a lot of money on that show. But more importantly, we proved that we could sell out New York City. And that was a killer
Great show.
Sure,
Yes, it was. That was
Awesome vibe
show.
on that
I
show.
love that. Was nice.
And the last one that I'll say, which was interesting for me, we played a couple shows with Nickelback last year. And the first one was Atlantic City. I can't recall where the second one was.
No, the second one was Atlantic City. The first one was in Connecticut.
Mohegan Sun.
Yeah,
In Sun. So
that casino.
Connecticut.
okay, yeah. So I'm gonna whichever one it was. I think Atlantic City, but either one of those. Both those gigs to me were so great for a couple of reasons. One, once again, who are these guys? Nickelback's one of the biggest selling bands of all time. When I saw their set list, I was like, holy shit, I forgot about that one, and I forgot about that one, and I forgot about that one. Every song's a hit, and they're a great rock and roll band. Like you would have them playing your house party when you were 18. So for us to go out in front of this crowd, I wouldn't say this lightly, we tore it fucking up, and that crowd loved it. It was a great mix. I would love to tour with them again because I didn't know what to expect. But anybody who bags on Nickelback, those guys are a great band.
And nicest guys too. It's like
Very nice guys. Yep.
And I pulled a Frank and almost broke my ribs that first night.
Tell that story.
Just walking backstage, just walking. That's all I had to do. I just had to walk. It's an arena show, and Rich and I walked out to the side of the stage to watch some of the show, and it's dark back there, and there's a lot of equipment laying around, and there's a
He's still laughing.
there's a big ramp going up from the floor to the stage to load equipment on.
Rich Ward.
And so Rich is walking like several feet ahead of me, and I'm walking behind him. And my foot caught on the edge of that ramp, and I tripped and fell, and I landed on my ribs on the edge of the ramp. And I thought I'd broken a couple of ribs. And somebody saw me, and they. What's that?
I'm just putting Wendy on the list. She wants
okay.
to go ahead.
And then they picked me up and sat me in a chair, and they got like the paramedics to come check me out and everything. And it turned out, I was in pain for several days, but it turned out fine. But I thought I had broken some ribs and was like, oh my God.
He was selling hard in the hallway. Had paramedics. Yeah.
Fozzy's goth girl says,
well, I didn't ask
pull
for
the Frank, LOL. Pull the Frank.
I didn't ask for the paramedics. The venue insisted.
The tech said, man, I looked down and I heard this crash, and I looked down and your drummer was laying on his back looking up at the ceiling of the arena, and I was like, oh my God, is he all right? And that's why he said, don't move, because part of it is too, it's like, think about the liabilities these days. Everyone has to be checked out for everything. But I remember you saying, "Did you not hear me? I guess you were like 5 feet behind me."
Yeah. I kind of looked over and saw Rich upside down, just walking away.
Cass says, Cass, do you guys remember playing Wally's in Hampton Beach? What's your honest opinion of Hampton Beach? Here's the reason why I brought this up is I remember Hampton Beach because it was the day that WrestleMania.
Right?
Yeah.
We were going to have a watch along or like a watch, like come see Fozzy and stay for WrestleMania. We were able to work it out to where we played like at 5:00, and then we put up a big screen and watched WrestleMania after. Because I was like, you guys realize that we're playing on a Sunday, which is WrestleMania. We're like, we have to try and incorporate something together. So we played the gig. It was a fun gig, nice town, and then we watched WrestleMania, and I got so fucking drunk that when Brock Lesnar won, whoever he was wrestling against, I took my glass, I threw it at the screen. I don't know why I was so angry at Brock Lesnar. I threw this fucking full glass of vodka at the screen, and then I was like, let's get out of here. And then me and Jack Slade proceeded to do the drunkest WrestleMania podcast review ever. So when I got the next day and woke up, I played, I'm like, we can't air this.
Unusable.
It's terrible. And we were doing it while the bus was driving. So all I heard was, WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar won.
I can't physically do it.
Man,
Frank and I watched that snowball. We were right behind you as you kept drinking, and Frank said, do we have to keep hanging out or can we go to the bus? I said, I don't know, man. I think
this isn't going to end well.
It's not going to end well, yeah. But I think we stayed for most of it except for like the last maybe match or two. But it was fun. I actually really liked that cool little beach town. I thought it was really neat.
Yeah, I thought we had some good shows there.
And it was a cool venue.
Casino with Buck Cherry, we played there too, right down the road.
Great.
Yeah.
That was a great show.
That was a great show.
That was a fun tour. I like that. Was a weird tour though. We played big shows, small shows. We played the Gramercy that had 20% capacity. But do you remember that hotel that we went to at like Puxawanee Lake or something, Frank, where we played some lake and then
I do.
And it looked like the Shining Hotel, and the hallways were slanted, so we were kind of like walking, like,
is this like Camp Crystal Lake?
Why do you keep bumping into me? It's like, I don't know. It's like, are these hallways slanted? What's wrong with this?
Yeah, the hotel was literally like a haunted house, like a house of mirrors or something.
I remember that.
That was a.
You know what hotel that was, Frank?
No.
The only hotel that let us stay. As we start to wind down here, guys, Jeremy Ivan says, can you guys do Bryan Adams' Heaven on the next Jericho cruise on Cover Songs Night? Reason why I brought that up is the cool thing is we started this Cover Songs Night on the cruise, and this year's was so much fun, man.
Man, it was awesome.
Oh, so much fun. So we played 10 or 12 amazing tunes. What was your favorite song that we played? And I'll start off. Kicking off with Working for the Weekend was like really cool on the Jericho cruise, starting with a Loverboy song, and it was just like it was so killer, man. That was a lot of fun for me to do that one. How about you, Billy?
I like Relax. I gotta say,
I
love that one.
Dude. You're hearing more of that coming up soon.
Love that one, dude.
Hey,
Randy.
Rock the Casbah, man.
Yeah,
it's always a jam, especially on a boat.
That song had so many fucking lyrics that when I told Rich, I'm like, dude, now that I've learned them, we are going to play this at our VIPs or I'm fucking quitting. Problem is, I forgot them all now. There's like 8 pages of lyrics for that.
Hey guys, I just saw a text came in from Eddie Gowan, our old buddy down from South. He wanted to say hey. So,
what's up, Eddie?
Eddie.
Hey.
So for me, like it is Rock the Casbah, and the reason is it's such an interesting song, and it's such a different type of song from who we are. Like, man, I'll play Loverboy any day of the week. I mean, I'm a big fan of that kind of '80s radio rock stuff, but for me, like being able to pull off a Clash song that was so interesting like that, and it was a challenge for us. And I think, I mean, Frank and I, we play Heaven in our '80s. The Guardians of the Jukebox band, so we already know it. So hey, you're Canadian, Chris. So it's already in your bloodstream.
And I know how it goes. Heaven isn't too far away. That one.
That's the one.
Frank.
I would say relax as well. I love how unexpected that song is. I mean, who would
that
ever expect a band like
Yeah,
Fozzy
true.
to play a song like that and pull it off and make it cool? And Cold Gin I thought went pretty well too.
Cold Frank, great.
Yeah,
vote.
Cold
Yeah,
Old
the
Frank.
old Cole Frank at Subway.
I know. And the other one I'll throw in there was "You're in Love" with Steve Brown.
Oh, dude, I was gonna say the same thing. I love that one.
That was
dude.
fun, man. What a great
He
time.
is so good.
Oh
Yeah.
man, he's awesome.
Good relationship with those guys. Jeff Cesar, you guys remember Toilet Boy from Joliet?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toilet
Jeff
Boy.
Cesar says,
How could we forget?
Hey, Chris, Billy, Randy, Rich, Frank, Toilet Boy here. I can't wait to see you again on Kiss Cruise 10 and Chris Jericho Cruise Triple Whammy. So Toilet Boy ain't scared to go on a cruise and wear his toilet outfit.
He's not scared to go to the toilet either.
This is literally a guy that when we did the Kiss Cruise the first time, they booked us in a time slot that was clashing with Kiss. It's like, this is the Kiss Cruise. Who's going to come see us? They're like, well, people are always looking for something to do. Not everybody can fit in the theater. Well, apparently what I did not know was they were showing Kiss's concert on the big screen. So you could see them in the theater or watch them on the screen or go see Fozzy. So we had about 87 people there. But it was Halloween night, and I remember sitting there singing, and fucking there's a guy dressed as a giant toilet in the crowd, like just dancing. He's got like a big like bowl is here, and like where the flush is his face. And so Toilet Boy became a big hit, and Toilet Boy lives in Joliet, which is also known as Joylet. And so thank you to the Toilet Boy.
Was he dressed as a low flow toilet or just a regular?
It was high. If you had the two buttons, it was the high one, high flush. Last couple questions. Well, fuck, we could do this all night. This is a lot of fun. But let's talk about the new Fozzy record. And Rich, you obviously been quarterbacking this with Johnny Anders, as you mentioned earlier. The greatest thing we ever did. He's our Bob Ezrin. He's our Bob Rock. He's our
Bob Shamsky.
Bob Shamsky, Bob Lang, Robert Mutt Lang. Tell us about the status of the new record, because Nowhere to Run came out about 6 months ago, was a huge hit for us, top 10, which is great. What more do you have in the pipeline to give everybody listening and watching a little bit of a preview?
This is the most the biggest departure that we've ever done on a new record. Usually when we sit down, we're like, okay, how many songs do we want to do on the record? We'll say 12 or 13, or is it 11? And we write those many songs. We're not one of those bands that like we have 35 or 100 songs. Like I've talked to friends of mine who say, hey, we had 50 candidates, song candidates for this record, because we've had obviously more time to work on it. We've had over 35 song ideas that Johnny and I have kind of worked through, and it's been great because it's been a real chance for us to. It's just like, I'm sure you did this when you were writing your book, Chris. You'd write some chapters, and then once you've gotten to a point, you'd go back and reread what you've already written, but with some distance, some time away from it. So we've had these big periods of time where we've been able to go back and make small improvements and big improvements here and there, make changes. And right now we have 17 songs, and obviously we can't have 17 songs on the album, which has been winnowed down from the big list. And it is by far, every band says this, but it is by far the most ambitious and best record that we'll ever do. And I think part of that process has been, I think the coronavirus, as terrible as it has been, and I don't ever want to say, hey, I'm glad something happened. But if you can look at like the upside is that the byproduct of not having a tour in April and May and then having to prep for that tour was that we've had more time to kind of work on these songs. And sometimes a good stew takes more time to develop the sauce and the flavors. And even though, the greatest thing about Johnny is also kind of the thing that can be difficult is that he's a genius. He's like Kurt Cobain or Lane Staley or any of these kind of great artists, or Trent Reznor. You can imagine what it would be like to be in a room with these guys, and that they're just so smart and have such wealth of great ideas and stuff. But also part of it is that he doesn't want me coming to his house because of coronavirus. And I'm like, I'll wear a mask. Like, he literally, he's really worried about it. Yeah. And hey, listen, I'm all for it. But so we've been basically working now for weeks just over the internet. So it slows things down. Hey, what do you think of this idea? And then you email it and you hear back the next day. And it's a little bit tedious, but it's been great. And the other good byproduct is that, and Billy and Randy can tell you as guitar players, sometimes when you're writing and you're recording, you have your go-to sounds, right? You know, like,
Right.
hey, this is my sound and this.
Yeah.
Well, now we've had months. So I've been developing all these new sounds, and I've bought tons of new pedals, and I've re-recorded all these demos 50 times with different guitar sounds. And it's one of those things that it gives you these opportunities to have, okay, well, I've got 50 crayons instead of just using the same 3 I always use. What would this look like? And all of a sudden, it's becoming this really cool record. And I'm super excited for you guys to jump in. We're actually at that point where it's time for the team to get on the field and let Johnny and I, stay in the dugout for a while.
It's funny too, because we've tracked a few songs already vocally, and it's almost one of those champagne problems where there's too many good songs. And like you said, every band will always say, this is the best thing we've ever done. And obviously I want a band one time to just go, this is the worst thing we've ever done. Like, I would love for that to happen.
Yeah.
But really,
worst album we've ever been a part of.
Worst album ever. But honestly,
or just second best.
Yeah.
Like, this is the second best album we've ever done.
There's so much at stake for us because we're on Sony Records now for real. And we have, literally 3 top 10 songs, 5 top 30s. So the microscope is on us, and they have a lot of hope for us. So when I hear all these songs, I'm like, oh, this is the one. And then, they write, Rich and Johnny will send me another song. This is the one. Well, this is the one. But I will say this for the teaser, the song that I really love so far, because it's the most rockin' of the songs that I've heard. Actually, there's a bunch of rockin' ones, but it's called Sane. And that's the one to me, that one grabbed me. And there's a lot of great ones that I've heard, but when I heard that one, it's like, it's probably the one that's going to open the record. That's probably the one that's going to open the live show. And it's just a crushing, killer fucking rock and roll song, isn't it, Rich?
It is. It really is. And that's the real beauty of this, is that an album is like a collection of small stories that you're trying to tell this bigger narrative. This is our album. This is who we are in 2020. And on the last album, when we're putting songs together, we're choosing great songs, but because we only had 12 songs, these are the songs. Whereas on this record, we have like 5 or 6 songs that I think would have easily been some of the best songs on Sin and Bones, or Do You Want to Start a War, or Judas. But we're trying to make this album like feel like it's this roller coaster ride, and we have this song and this song, and collectively they all make a bigger statement than they do as individuals, and that's been a really cool place to be able to come from, is that, hey, we have this luxury of, and Johnny and I are saying, God, man, this song, like, there's this one song called Synthetic that I'm so in love with, that I think is one of the best songs. It would have been the best song on Do You Want to Start a War? And it's not even going to make the album.
Right. Wow.
Like, I'm so bummed. But Johnny made a good point. It's like, we have this other song that it's similar to, but this song works better because of this reason. And it's like, I love having these problems. And obviously, everybody will have a chance to hear all of these songs. But Johnny is Dr. Frankenstein. You will not see the monster until it's ready to storm the local village. And we're still kind of in that last refinement stages. And because what Johnny and I do is we do rough sketches. So we're programming drums and we're playing bass and we're playing guitars and stuff. But the songs change drastically once the band plays, because obviously I'm not a great bass player. I'm not, Billy's guitar parts will be his, and they won't sound like just one guy playing the record. Frank having a real drummer and not just Johnny and I doing finger drumming. And so I'm really excited about getting the team together to make this record, because this is the first time that the demos have already been 9 out of 10. Usually demos are like, I'm having to explain to everybody, man, just imagine what it would sound like. You know, like you're trying to sell it like a car that's not available yet. So you're like trying to describe why it's beautiful, and you're waiting. It's like a blind date. You're gonna love her. She's great.
She's got a great personality.
That's right. These demos are so good that I don't really have to do the sell on them. I think everyone's going to love them and find their own places in them. I'm really excited to get Frank in there too, because the drums are really well developed already, but Frank has such a unique style and such a groove that I think it's really going to bring these songs alive.
Go ahead, Frank.
It's the shrimp. It's the shrimp. The shrimp is the secret.
No, the shrimp is
Shanghai surprise.
Yeah.
Last few questions. What did you guys think about the a cappella version of Judas from AEW Revolution from Darren Bradley?
I loved great. I loved it.
It was good.
Great.
Yeah.
I thought you were genius. The minute, Chris, I remember when you sent me her original video, and I thought, God, this is so amazing. She was so great. And then when you sent me the little video, the little don't tell anybody video from Soundcheck at the pay-per-view, where they were all kind of doing the choir, and I thought, man, this is incredible. And you just have this, you have a great vision. You're able to stand back and see what things could be. And I thought that was a great moment. And the thing was that Cody's band was great doing his intro, but it was just them playing the song. You had this big vision of how to take something that people already knew and how to transform it into this epic moment. That it was incredible, man. It's great. And, those are the things that I think a lot of people I don't want to butter your bread on your own show, but it's amazing to be able to see at this point where you finally have the reins of the horses and are being able to, have all these great creative avenues, and they're great. And the fans are rightful to
Billy, Chelsea Cavender wants to know, have you seen any squatches lately?
No, but we are definitely looking. We are always on the hunt for them here at the Squatch Tracks recording facility in the middle of the Georgia mountains. As you can see, we have the official sign back there. So yeah,
I just saw something go by your window, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Shellen Nadu said these guys are really nice. I met them in 2016 in Vancouver, Canada with Saxon. Great guys and great band. That was a great concert, Saxon and Fozzy. One of my favorite end of tour ribs we ever did was Biff, who will contest this, was very angry that I was smart enough to ask for a chicken.
Where's my chicken?
I want chicken.
I want chicken. I love chicken. Give me chicken. He was really angry that we had a roast chicken in our room and he never had one. So that at the end of the tour in Vancouver, we got our tour manager, Rodney. Remember that guy? What a fucking idiot he was. And we got him to get us 5. I shouldn't say that. Rodney's not an idiot. I'm just joking. 5 roast chickens and 5 silver platters. And when they were playing Wheels of Steel, they would break down, Wheels of Steel. And the people go like, Wheels of Steel. And when they were doing that, we brought on the 5 silver platters of roast chicken onto the stage of Saxon.
It's amazing that he got that many decades into his career and wondered why we had things on our catering rider. It's like because they didn't just give us chickens because they guessed we liked them. Like, he's like, how come Fozzy gets Red Bulls? It's like, you see this list that we handed in? Like,
we asked them.
You mean if I ask the venue to give us stuff, they'll actually do it?
Good one, Frank.
Oh man. So last question for us. Like I said, we could talk all day. It's great seeing you guys. It's been almost 2 hours, and Rich was on for 37 minutes of that until he figured out how to plug his phones in. But wish we were on tour right now. We should be on tour right now.
Yeah.
But what is your favorite song to play live during a Fozzy show? What do you think, Billy?
Well, these days I'm going to go ahead and say there's so many of them. I mean, first off, but I'm gonna go ahead and say, God Almighty, jeez, I don't know. I still love Judas, man. I still love Judas, dude. I love Judas. I love that one. I love them all, though, dude. I love them all. Like, I don't know, Judas right now. But
Judas still, when we hear it playing on a freaking like a football game and a hockey game, and it's crazy, man. That really was, the elusive hit single for us that just knocked the door right open. So, thanks to Rich and Johnny.
Nowhere to Run as well, too. I got to say that.
What's what? Nowhere to Run?
Nowhere to Run as well.
What's the cat's name, Rich, that co-wrote Judas, or the initial germ? Oh gosh, I wish I remembered. He was in a band called Johnny Schwartzky, I think his name is, or something. George Van Dumpleby.
So mine's Burn Me Out. And I think the reason
I love that one too,
man, because
Justin Cordell is his name. Justin Cordell. Sorry. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, Burn Me Out, man. One of the best live songs we've ever had, because it's as Fozzy's kind of developing more dark themes and these kind of darker, more aggressive songs. I think having a song like Burn Me Out is still so much fun because it's still a party jam. It still feels like our version of a great Van Halen party jam, and it always goes over great.
Yeah.
Ross Leonard says Randy Drake doesn't do push-ups; he pushes the ground down.
Goddamn right. This guy knows what's up. He knows what a push down is.
What's your favorite, Randy?
I'm gonna say number one would be SOS, which is maybe not it might be an unpopular one, but I love playing SOS. I love that, yeah. And that's a close. Yeah, exactly. I got a lot of fun stuff to do with the bass. And then I think a close second would be Nowhere to Run. I love playing that. It might be a tie between Nowhere to Run and Lights Go Out. I love playing Lights Go Out.
I'll just say too that Randy is also just a great singer, man, and also he knows all the words. So when I forget the words, I just look at him and like, I'm on nowhere to. That's how it goes. So thank you. You're a living, breathing teleprompter.
Hey man, if I learned anything, it's learning how to read.
Frankie, what you got?
Well, Judas obviously is a good choice. I mean, that song is always fun to play because you see everybody in the crowd singing along with it. Everybody knows the song, and it's just a great groove. I just love that kind of in the pocket feel that song has. I will say one song I miss playing that we haven't played in a little while was Bad Tattoo. I always loved playing that song.
It's been a minute.
With Ward the Wizard playing the theremin. That was great.
Theremin.
And I know that was the bane of his existence, dragging that theremin around on the road and dealing with it on the road. But
it's one of those instruments that was fragile. So about one gig out of 5, it wouldn't work, and I'd just be standing there doing this stupid Jedi poses over something
Kung
that
Fu
wasn't working. Why?
And then you'd hit your guitar like, round.
Yeah, anything to I'd start doing whatever.
My favorite is first of all, Nicholas Hatton from YouTube says, "Thank you guys so much. I really needed these laughs. Would you ever consider playing Unstoppable from Do You Want to Start a War?" Well, let me tell you my story about Unstoppable. I heard a story once about Ozzy singing the song Thunder Underground on the Osmosis record, where it's super high, and he did the vocal, and afterwards the producer was like, "Ozzy, we got it. You did great. You sounded great." He's like, "Really? You liked it? Good. Because you'll never fucking hear me sing it again." That's what I feel about Unstoppable. It's so high. The melody line's so high. A lot of people love that song. And listen, if it ever became a point where we had to play it for a show or whatever, we'd make it work. But as it goes right now, probably won't revisit a song from 2014 because we've got so many other great songs. And as you put out new records, it's harder and harder to figure out what songs you want to keep in the set list. Which brings me to my favorite song. Obviously, I love all of our hits. Lights Go Out and Judas and Nowhere to Run and Painless, Burn Me Out, all huge hits. My favorite still to sing and play to this day is Sin and Bones. I fucking love that song. I just love it. It's fun. It's like we even opened with it this year on the Jericho cruise.
Yep.
And when this tour happens, if we were touring right now, it was written down, and Rich had already agreed that we were going to open with Sin and Bones on this tour before the record came out. So just really dig that song as well. So lots of fun to sing and play. But dudes, so great to see you guys, man. And it's been
man, everybody.
Seems like it was 5 minutes, and great to see you guys, see your faces, and hopefully we'll get to rock in July and August. Hopefully
we got to do it.
The rock shows will be
man,
to play at
Please.
So thanks, guys. Hopefully see you soon, and stay safe and stay healthy, and let's fucking rock and roll soon enough, man.
Yeah, boys. See y'all later.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. So that was Fozzy right there, as Frank is still trying to get some airtime. I want to kick Billy out of the studio too. But thank you guys so much. What a great time. So we haven't done the sing-along yet, and I feel like doing a little warrant for a sing-along because Heaven, we were talking about Heaven. Should we do some warrant? You know, whatever. I'm gonna say we should do it. So are you getting ready? I'm gonna play this right now. Hold on. I'm gonna ask you guys, can you hear this? Hold on, what is that? Oh wait. Can you guys hear some music right now? Can you hear that music? Yes? Can you guys hear Heaven right now? Not yet. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna try something right. Hold on. Can you hear music now? Let me know if you guys can hear music. No? You still can't hear it? Shit, hold on. Oh, you can hear it now? You guys can hear Warrant? Okay. We're gonna do Warrant. You guys ready? All right. Here we go. Here we go, guys. Got a picture of your house, and you're standing by the door. It's black and white and faded, and it's looking pretty worn. See the factory that I worked, silhouetted in the back. The memories are gray, but man, they're really coming back. I don't need to be the king of the world, as long as I'm the hero of this little girl. Heaven isn't too far away, closer to it every day. No matter what your friends might say, how I love the way you move, sparkle in your eyes, color deep inside them like a blue suburban sky. When I come home late at night and you're in there to sleep, I wrap my arms around you so I can feel you breathe. I don't need to be a Superman, as long as I'm here, always be my biggest fan. Heaven isn't too far away, closer to it every day. No matter what your friends might say, we'll find a way. Yeah! Cheers, guys. Cheers. Now the lights are going out along the boulevard. Memories come rushing back, makes it pretty hard. I got nowhere left to go. No one really cares. I don't know what to do. I'm never giving up on you. Closer to it every day. No matter what your friends say, I know we're gonna find a way. Whoa, have that part. Yeah. What a tune, man. What a great tune. Thank you guys for joining me tonight on the Sunday special. So excited that we had the guys from Fozzy on. So great to see my friends, you know. I mean, I haven't seen them in a long time. That's the best part, is that, you know, when you get a chance to talk to these guys and see them again as we start to the hold on a second, there we go, boom. As we're doing the outro is always my favorite, because we're gonna, I read some comments here. Here we go. This is over. I'm like a technical wizard now. Jeanette Regazilio says that was awesome. Thank you so much. Kim Blakely says another great episode of the Saturday Night Special. Thank you so much. Mackenzie Taylor says hopefully we'll see you at Jericho's again in August. We hope so too. We really want to play Jericho's. It's such a great venue in Pittsburgh. We sold it out. It's sold out. So if we can play this gig, we will be there for you guys. Hopefully we can do this tour. Dave Spivak says noise. Ah, yeah. Thanks, man. Mark Freitas says awesome. Well, you're awesome. Angie Sherman says, can't wait to see you at the machine shop. Thank you so much. We love the machine shop. Great people there. Always take care of us. Awesome. Jeremy Steed says, thank you. It was awesome. Jessica Lockhart Irvin says it's a hanky. It's not a hanky. It's a bandana. So you better watch it. I love you. Bab Smith says, when will Fozzy be in Rock Band? You tell me. There's a lot of great stuff we can put in there. Great solos as well. Corey Smith says, thank you. We love you, Chris, for taking some time. These comments are just going by so fast. It's hard to keep up. Lou Piazza, come to Long Island. Well, hopefully someday we can come to Long Island. We like Long Island. Andy Nelson says, can you put my wife Wendy on the list? Wendy, you just made the list. Whatever. I love you, Fozzy Rocks. Shay Powell says, watching from Dublin. Oh my gosh. It's like probably 4 a.m. Thank you guys so much for watching in London. Logan says, come back to Sacramento. What a great show that was. One of my favorite shows we've ever had. Asher Bombsy, favorite Beatles song? I would say I Want You, She's So Heavy. That's the one for me. I love that song. So great. Shazia Manowar, Kings of Metal. You make Canada proud. Thank you so much. Kevin Stegall, love you, buddy. Love you too, man. Thank you. Mike Porter. Oh, you want Mike Porter in the show? Somebody asked. These comes. John Best, bring Mike Porter. Well, actually, I should bring Mike and Charlie on the show, and we could do a great Q&A and good times. Hope you guys had fun tonight. There's 5 of us on the show. Obviously, Rich joined us late, so we had to go a little bit longer. But what a great time! Thank you so much. They Call Me None. Will there be a Fozzy vinyl coming out with a new album? Yes, absolutely. You can see in the background right here. You can see Fozzy Judas album is there. I never felt so much like a rock and roller until we had our albums put out on vinyl. That's so cool. So good. So Sin and Bones is on vinyl. Do you want to start a war is on vinyl, and Judas is on vinyl. So hopefully we do more. Cyrus Waters, who's better, Tupac or Biggie? Got to go with Tupac. Scott Sheffett says Scott and Rachel cannot wait for a third straight cruise, the triple whammy. Thank you so much. There's pre-booking going on right now for people that were on the cruises before. So you will get a chance to book if you haven't been on the cruise. But it's going to be great. We're doing it, man. We're going out there. It's time to get back into the world. Let's enjoy our lives and get back to rock and roll here. Mike Sharp, thanks, Chris. Hello from friendly Manitoba. That's awesome. Aaron Griffin, thank you for everything you've done from wrestling. Keep kicking ass with Fozzy. Thank you. Travis Barber, awesome to see you. Le Champion, that's great. Thank you, man. Appreciate it to you. Don Fulton Wilson says, three-peat. Edward Domovich, did you guys ever perform Storm the Beaches? That's about a 14-minute song. Very hard to do. Love that song, though. That actually, the riff for that, the main riff was written by Billy Gray. So very cool. Say hi to my hubby David, says Lily. Hi, David. Thank you, Chris, says Lisa McKillick. Kathy Doyle, love you, sexy beast. Guys, once again, thank you so much. I love the Saturday special. Cheers to you guys. And we'll be back next Saturday. I don't know what we're going to be doing, but we'll find something fun. Eddie Arsenal says your favorite Rush song. Man, I don't know. I got to say probably, I don't know. Roll the Bones is up there for me, for sure. Yaki Morales speaks Spanish. Hola, senor. Or hola. Whatever. Bubbly Bunch. There's so much going on. It's crazy. Guys, thank you so much for being with us here tonight on the Saturday special. And we really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get a chance to come see you soon on tour with Fozzy. Love you guys. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And we'll see you next week right here on the Saturday night special.